Hi class, my name is Laura Fleites and today I'm going to be talking about the Westhampton Dunes. So the Westhampton Dunes are a community that form part of the state of New York. To be honest, I think it is a beautiful beach. It's super private. They have beautiful homes, but obviously we'll get into that earlier. Yet it is a community that has been through a lot over the years. They've experienced a lot of disasters. They've had to overcome a lot of issues, a lot of natural issues, and attempt their best to find a way and try to be able to conserve the most amount of nature, beautiful nature, I guess we could say, as possible. So to get into things, oh, sorry. Let's start off with the history of the place. So obviously, people from New York started coming here hundreds of years ago, yet they had a big problem where through construction, they thought that they were going to do a good for the place, but actually, this construction that happened in 1992, um, they thought that it was going to be able to keep some sand in, to keep the beach, but it actually ended up creating an extreme amount of beach erosion, which really caused a lot of damage for the community and then for which they had to find an immediate way to solve that. Otherwise, the community would be gone. It even got to a point where it was declared inhabitable. Nobody could pretty much live there just because of how bad the situation got. Until finally they started creating the restoration project, which was finalized in 1997, which helped them immensely. People were able to live there again. They were able to construct and, just live a calm life. And it even, for the next 30 years, it even allowed them, so still pretty much today, even allowed them to have constant beach nourishment provided and worked for because of how bad the situation had gotten before. So even today, they're still working with beach nourishment in order to make this beach the best it could possibly be. Here I added a couple pictures. We can see this picture here in black and white of how the beach was. I think this picture is probably from like 1994, so like 30 years ago. And then here I added a geographic image so we can see down here this highlighted blue part is where the beach is. So this is the area that we're going to be talking about today. This all of this is more of like New York. But we're going to be talking about this light here, kind of, part of the island of this whole coast right here. Oh, I went back. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's go into the disasters. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this part of New York, due to not only the fact of how thin their area of land is, they have actually gone through a lot of natural disasters like hurricane, as we can see here, with the first one being in 1938, where at this point there weren't a lot of people that were living here, so there obviously weren't as many homes as there are today, but still. Out of the 179 homes that there were, 153 were completely destroyed. Obviously, materials back then weren't as strong as it would be now, because maybe today, let's say, God forbid, a hurricane were to come, I'm sure not as many homes, unless it was like a category 5, would be destroyed. Like back then, things were more fragile. And they unfortunately had 23 fatalities where, families lost loved ones, but is obviously all part of a disaster. This specific hurricane reached, reading what things were written at the time, it reached 180 miles per hour with a constant. So that was the max that it reached, but it had a constant for the day that it passed of 120 miles per hour, reaching then the max of 140. And waves hit a max of 50 feet, but the most of them were about 30 feet. So just imagine of this little piece of land, a 30-foot at least wave, I feel like would cover most of the island, plus the wind. It was a horrible situation. Then, around 50 years after that, they had the Halloween storm, which is what we were talking about before. It's called the Halloween storm, where they thought that this construction was going to be super beneficial for them, that it was going to allow them to keep a beautiful beach and everything, but it actually just caused an extreme amount of erosion that they couldn't even live in. It was a horrible situation where 19 homes were destroyed. A lot of people had to leave their home and just find another place to live until finally, what I was talking about earlier, they were able to start this project where they were able to calm things down and, live happily until 2012. We can see here where Hurricane Sandy hit. Now this is more of a modern situation. I'm sure, I was obviously born before 2012, but I don't remember this specific hurricane, but I'm sure some people watching this might look back and remember it, where it was an extremely damaging hurricane. So before this hurricane, the Great Hurricane of 1938 was the worst one, but then when Sandy came, that was declared their most damaging disaster, with 44 deaths and just severe destruction, not only in this area, but in just New York overall. It was a horrible situation for everyone. And obviously, it also has to do with the fact that with there being so much more new construction, there is more to destroy. And even though that might sound bad, at the end of the day, it's true. But yeah, it was a horrible situation. Here I attached a picture of the disaster. It was the 1991 disaster. This picture is from 1992, of the storms that were being caused by not only the erosion, but just nature on its own. Like I said before, when you have such a small, and not the fact that it's small, it's, a very narrow area of land, surrounded by water, they're a lot more prone to receive disasters from natural things that might happen, once again, like the hurricanes, or if there's a bad weather, these people usually have it kind of the worst, whereas maybe if you're in the city, it won't affect you as much because this part of land mainly acts even as a barrier to stop winds and stop many things. So these people here are just receiving the worst of it, whereas in the people in the city or more inland just don't get it as worse. So moving on. Oh, wow, sorry. I cannot control this. So let's talk about the present problems. Now, even though all of these disasters that happened in the past could still repeat today and just happen, and you really don't know it because when a hurricane emerges, for example, talking about a hurricane, yeah, we see the trajectory, we see everything, but at the end of the day, number one, they're unstoppable, and number two, you can't really know with the magnitude because there are levels, but at the end of the day, you can't know the magnitude and how much disaster is going to cause until it actually hits. We can always have an estimate, but we won't always know exactly what it is. But more specifically, some present day problems that they have are number one, erosion and flooding. So they still to this day experience beach erosion. And since the problem that they had in the 1990s, they are known for having the worst beach erosion in the United States. Yet, this doesn't mean that they're not trying to solve it, obviously trying to find ways in order to keep their beach as healthy and nourished as possible. But still, this led them to start the Fire Island to Montauk Point program, which has extremely helped them, and they still are. And they look forward to continue to working with this in order to create a safe environment for the people that live there, for future communities, and just for the place in general. Another problem that they have is a pollution problem. Now, it's not a normal pollution problem that we say there's a lot of people littering, there is so much gas, or whatever the case may be. This is caused, sorry, by mainly storm water effects. Now, due to the fact that they get so many storms, specifically also because of the geographical position that they have a lot of north winds that just come and not only cause the erosion, but bring a lot of storms with them too. And that storm water most of the time goes into the pipes and the water that the people use, causing a lot of problems, which is why they have the local waterfront revitalization plan, which helps them erase some of the storm water and just have clean water um for everyone. But their main issue is being able to keep their natural resources. Now, due to all of these other problems that they have, for them, it becomes very, very, very difficult to protect the nature that they do have because once they start, everything starts looking good, bang, another disaster comes along. Then they try to recover and another disaster. So for them, it's still that whole problem, that cycle that they have, and which is why they're still trying to find long-term solutions that could potentially help them um to solve all these issues that they unfortunately encounter once again, mainly because of their geographical position that, they're just unlucky to be there. But at the end of the day, I feel like with technology and science today, they can definitely come to a better way. They can definitely find a better way to protect their land, to protect their beaches, and, make them as beautiful as possible. So, yeah, going kind of stepping aside from all of these negative things, disasters, and everything we just talked about, when it comes to their socioeconomic conditions, they're actually very well placed. They are a very wealthy economy, I mean, a very wealthy community. I put here a picture of the houses seen there, which just by looking at the pictures, I think we can already tell that they're in a good position. They're very beautiful homes. Most of them are beachfront, very private life, very calm life. But yeah, it's a very highly desirable place to live, as it is noted on there. I mean, it's an amazing place, really. And they have very good support systems, like the retail trade. They have very good healthcare, opportunities because once again, they're very healthy in the sense that they're a very good working community and which also leads to their wealthy economy, and just one thing helps another, and at least in that aspect they are very gifted, which is good because that also helps them recover from these disasters at such a good pace, because if we compare it to poor countries like in Latin America, Central America, that also get hit by things like hurricanes and stuff, it costs them a lot more, not because there's a higher cost, just because it costs them more work to recover from these things. It affects them more. Whereas in this case, due to these people's socioeconomic conditions, they can kind of bounce back um a little better. Um, oh, sorry, had another slide. Oh, that's something else. Sorry. So now speaking about the tourism scene in the area, even though there's not a high rate of tourism just because of the private community that they are, mainly is people that own their homes and just vacate there, or the people that live there just tend to be of, higher age, to not say anything else. There isn't really an extreme amount of tourism like how we see here in Miami Beach or in other beaches in the world, yet they do have some. And it is very positive because they have very unique and a very unique and vibrant town, as I wrote there, with beautiful boutiques, and everything is just upscale. This beautiful lifestyle that everybody wishes to have, but touristing is a very good thing too, and you get to experience it with, for a week or for however long, and they're very welcome there. They have everything that is needed, and at the end of the day, it is a beautiful beach that maybe the people from New York that live in the city could just kind of come out for a day and spend the day there, and it's very enjoyable because it gives you a different sense of place than being in the city or whatever the case may be, without having even to go too far. Or people that are from down here and just want a more relaxed kind of retreat could definitely visit Westhampton. It's a beautiful place, which I've never been to it, but just by doing so much research, I can tell that it's a very calm and it has very good vibes, and I'm sure it's a very beautiful place to spend a good vacation in. And then just lastly, my references. But yeah, just to kind of top it off, once again, I think it's a very beautiful place. Even though they've been through a lot, they've always been able to recover. And the best thing is that they're actively trying to find ways in which they could solve the disasters and the issues that they come across in order to, have a better future for the community. But that was all. Thank you so much.